Be'ez Hashem Yisborach, we begin Hilchos Avodas Kochavim, the laws of idol worship, which literally means say serving the stars, v'chukas avdeha, and the statutes of those who serve it, which is the fourth out of the 5 halachas of the Sefer Madad, the book of knowledge. Yesh b'chlol and chamishim achas mitzvahs. In their category there are 51 commandments, shtei mitzvahs, say 2 positive commandments, v'arboim b'teisha mitzvahs, let's say 49 negative prohibitions. These are the specifics. Aleph number 1, shlei lifnes achar akum, not to stray after idolatry. Beis number 2, shlei losa achar hir halev, not to spy after the thoughts of one's heart, or the isanayim and the vision of one's eyes. Gimel number 3, shlei legadiv, not to blaspheme, to curse God. Dal number 4, not to serve the idol the way it's normally served. Hey number 5, not to bow down to it. Vav number 6, not to make an idol for himself. Zayin number 7, not to make an idol even for others. Ches number 8, not to make images, even for the decoration. Test number 9, not to push others after the idolatry. Yud number 10, to burn the city that was pushed to do idolatry. Yud Aleph 11, not to build that town anymore. Yud Beis number 12, not to have any benefit from all its monies of this town that's being destroyed. Yud Gimel 13, not to entice, incite an individual to serve the idol. Yud Dalet 14, is not to love the one who seduced people to do idolatry. Tezvav number 15, not to ever stop hating him. Tezayin 16, not to save him. Yudayin 17, not to teach any merit for him, that he should be saved. Yudches 18, not to stop from teaching things that would make him liable. Yudches 19, not to prophesize in the name of the idol. Chav 20, not to listen to the one who prophesies in the name of the idol. Chav 21, not to prophesize falsely, even in God's name. Chav Beis 22, not to be afraid from executing the false prophet. Chav Gimel 23, not to swear in the name of the idol. Chav Dal 24, not to do oiv, which is a type of sorcery. Chav Hey 25, which is another type. Chav 26, not to pass one through the melech, which is another type of avodah zarah. Chav Zayin 27, not to erect a platform, which is another element of idolatry. Chav Ches 28, not to bow down on hewn stone. Chav Tes 29, not to plant the asher, which is avodah zarah tree. Lamed 30, to destroy the idolatry, whatever was made because of it. Lamed Alf 31, not to have any benefit from idolatry, and all those accessories. Lamed Beis 32, not to have benefit from the plating of that which was worshipped. Lamegimel 33, not to make a covenant with the idol worshippers. Lamedal 34, not to have any compassion, to find grace with them. Lameh 35, that they shouldn't settle in our lands. Lamavav 36, not to be similar to them with their conduct and in their dress. Lamedzayin 37, not to be a soothsayer. Lameches 38, not to perform black magic. Lametes 39, not to practice divination. Mem 40, not to cast any spells. Mem Aleph 41, not to look for answers by the dead. Mem Beis 42, not to ask by those who practice the sorcery of Oiv. Mem Gimel 43, not to ask by those who perform this Yedayni. Mem Dalet 44, not to practice sorcery. Mem Hey 45, not to shave off the hair of the temples, which means to go around the corners of the head by cutting it off. Mem Vav 46, not to destroy the corners of the beard. Mem Zayin 47, that man should not wear the ornaments of a woman. Mem Ches 48, that the woman should not wear the ornaments of a man. Mem Tes 49, not to write a tattoo. Nun 50, not to cut into one's flesh. Nun Al 51, not to make any tearings in one's hair because of someone who died. Uber kol mitzvahs and the explanation of all these mitzvahs are in these chapters, which there are 12 chapters. The first 3 discuss the foundations, the fundamentals of avodah zarah. Perek Dal discuss regarding hadach and asasa, which are ways of pushing people to do avodah zarah. Vav number 6 is the ways of additional ways, elements of avodah zarah. Zayin to Yud discusses regarding destroying the avodah zarah and distancing oneself from those who worship it. And Perek Yud Alf and Yud Beis is discussed regarding chukas agayim, which are the statutes of how the idol worshippers conduct themselves. And then we begin Perek Rishon, the first chapter, which talks about the development of avodah zarah and the true path. as Rambam gets halacha regarding how idolatry started. The May Enish, in the days of Enish, who was the son of Shes, who was a grandson of Adam Rishon, in his days, Tov b'nei Adam tois gedayla. Mankind made an enormous mistake. And the counsel of the sages of that generation was mistaken. They were foolish. The Enish Atzmam in that time, and Enish himself was from those who made a mistake. This was their mistake. They said the following logic. Since God made these stars and these spheres to conduct the whole world, He put them in the heights, and He gave them great honor. We see how awesome they are. They are the servants that serve Him in front of Him. So it's appropriate to praise them and to glorify them, and to separate for them a specific honor. And this is the desire of God, Baruch Hu, blessed be He, to make great, and to honor who He made great and that He honored. Just like a king wants that the servants who stand in front of him should be honored by the populace, and that's the honor of the king. So once they entertained this idea, so they started building for the stars, for the planets, sanctuaries, and to sacrifice for them karbanis, and to praise them and to glorify them with words, and to bow down towards them, to attain the will of the Creator, with their evil thoughts. Now, this was the primary idolatry. And this is what those who serve it, who knew its primary principles, would say. It's not that they said that there's no other God but this star. This is what Yirmiyah Nabi says in Sefer Yirmiyah, that who doesn't fear you, Melech HaGoyim, the King of the nations? Because for you it's appropriate. Because in all the sages of the Gentiles, in all their kingdoms, there's no one like you. But in one area they're foolish and they make a mistake. Musa Havalim, the rebuke of futility, is Eitzu, that it's wood. In other words, everyone knows that it's only you, that you're the source of everything. But their mistake and their foolishness is that they think that this foolishness is your desire, that you want that people should use these planets, these stars, as mediums between you and them. That was the mistake that they made. Now, halacha base continues, however, with this next stage, the second stage. After many days passed, meaning a long period of time passed, it stood up amongst mankind, Nevi'ei Sheker, false prophets. They said, that God commanded and said to them, serve this star. All the stars. And sacrifice to him, and make libations for him, such and such. Build him a sanctuary, and make his figure, that the people should bow down to him. Hanoshim, the women, Vaktanim, the miners, the Shokal, Ashamirites, and all the other people of the land. And he would notify them the form, which he made up on his own. Then he would tell them, this is the form of that star, that it was notified to him in his prophecy. And they started on this path to make these forms, these figures in the sanctuaries, and beneath the trees, and on the top of the mountains, and on the hills. And they would gather, and they would bow down to them. And they would say to all the people, that this form, will do good for those who do good, and bad for those who don't listen. And that's appropriate to serve it and to have fear from it. And their priests would say to them, that if you do this service, you'll increase and you'll be successful. And do this and this, and don't do this and that. Then it took us to the third stage. Then there began other liars to get up and to say that the star itself, or a galgal, or the sphere, or hamalach, or the agent, Dibramam spoke with them, and said to them, serve me with such and such. And he let them know the path of serving it. Do this and don't do this. And this manifested throughout the whole world. To serve these forms in all these different types of deviant services, to sacrifice to them and to bow down to them. And once a long period of time passed, God's awesome and honorable name was forgotten from all of mankind and from all their consciousness. And they didn't recognize him. It came out all the people of the land, the women and the children. They didn't know. They only knew the figures of wood and of stone. And from the sanctuary of stone, that they were trained from a really young age to bow down to it, to serve it and to swear in its name. Now the sages that they had, for example, the priest and so on, they imagine that there is no God, only the stars and the spheres, that these figures were made because of them and in the form of their image. But the rock of the world, the creator, Kadosh Baruch Hu, there was no man that recognized him, and they didn't know him. Only individuals in the world. For example, Chanoich, Noach, Shem, Ve'eber, these were the biblical figures that the individuals who knew Hashem. And this is the way the world kept on going and devolving until the pillar of the world was born, and he is our father Avram. Which Halacha Gimel goes to explain who is this Avram Avinu. Once this powerful, mighty one was weaned from his mother, he started wandering in his consciousness. And he was still young. He started thinking by day, by nighttime. He was wondering, how could this sphere constantly be conducting itself, and it shouldn't have a conductor? Who's making it turn around? It's not possible for it to turn itself around. But he didn't have a teacher. No one to let him know anything. He was submerged in Ur-Kasdim, the name of the town where he was, amongst the foolish idol worshippers. His father, his mother, all the people were idol worshippers, and he served with them. But his heart, his consciousness, his thoughts were wandering and understanding until he understood the true path, and he had a deep understanding of the line of righteousness from his appropriate understanding. And he knew that there is one God, and he's what causes the spheres to go around. He created everything. And there is no other being that's the creator but him. There's no other force that's a God that controls the world but him. He knew the whole world were mistaken. And that what caused them to make this mistake was because they were serving the stars and these figures until they lost the truth from their consciousness. And when Avram was 40 years old, he recognized his creator. Once he recognized and he knew, he started responding to the people of Ur-Kasdim and to start contesting with them and having debates. But limit to say, this is not the true path that you're going in. And he broke the idols, and he started notifying the people, it is not appropriate to serve only to the God of the world, which is Hashem. And it's only to him that it's appropriate to bow and to serve and to pour libations. So that all the creations that are coming should recognize him. And it's appropriate to destroy and to break all the images, so that all the people should not be misled after them. Like those who imagine that there's no God but these images. Once he overpowered them with his proofs, so the wicked king Nimrod, the king of Babel, wanted to kill him. A miracle happened, and he left, he went out to Charan. And he went out and he stood up and he started to call out in a great voice to the entire world, to let them know there's only one God for the whole world. And it's to him that's appropriate to serve. He was going and he was calling out a makabetz and he was gathering the people from city to city, from one kingdom to another kingdom, until he reached the land of Canaan. He was calling out, it says in the Pasuk, that he called out over there in the name of God, the God of the world. Now, since the people were gathering to Mishneh, they're asking him regarding his words. He was letting every single person know according to his intelligence. until he brought him back to the true path. Until he gathered him slowly but surely, thousands and myriads, tens of thousands. And they are the men of the household of Avram. And he planted in their heart this primary principle, that of monotheism, of the one God. And he authored books, and he let these ideas be known to his son Yitzchak. And Yitzchak said, he taught and he brought people back. Yitzchak let it be known to his son Yaakov, and he appointed him to teach. He sat, he taught, and he brought back all those who were escorted with him. Then regarding the nation that knew God, the Yaakov Avinu, our father Yaakov, limid banam kulam, he taught all his sons. But he separated Levi, which was one of his 12 sons, and he appointed him to be the one in head. Yeshiva, and he sat him in the yeshiva, the study hall, l'lamed derech Hashem, to teach the path of Hashem. Lishma mitzvahs Avram, to safeguard the mitzvahs of Avram, his grandfather. And he commanded his son, shouldn't stop from the sons of Levi, someone appointed after someone, the next generation appointed, that the teaching should not be forgotten. And this was kept on going and getting stronger by the sons of Yaakov and those who were gathered with them. And it became in the world a nation, Hashem, which knew Hashem. Until the Jewish people spent a long time in Egypt, and they degenerated to learn after the actions of the Egyptians, and start worshipping the stars like them. Except for the tribe of Levi, who he stood by the commandments of his fathers, and the Shevet of Levi never worshipped idolatry. Now, and almost it was just a little bit more if time would have passed, and that this primary principle that was planned by Avram would have been uprooted. And the sons of Yaakov would have gone back to the mistake of the nations and where they were misled. But from the love that Hashem had for us, and to safeguard the oath that he gave to Avram Avinu, he made our teacher Moshe, Rabbi Shel Kol Neviim, the master of all the prophets, and he sent him to redeem the Jewish people from Egypt. Once Moshe Rabbeinu prophesies, and Hashem chose the Jewish people for inheritance, he crowned them with mitzvahs, and he let them know the path of serving him, and what's the judgment of those who worship the stars, and all those who are misled after them. And then the Jewish people were saved from being submerged when they were in the 49th level of Tumah, and then that to keep alive this destiny of Avram Avinu, of monotheism, of understanding that there's only one God.